A quick forewarning here, guys, this is going to be a very strange list. We're covering the most viewed matches on WWE's official YouTube channel, but they're not the classics you might assume they would be. As most pay-per-view bouts are only available on the WWE network these days, those released for free are a little more offbeat and curious. From 41-man battle royals to star-studded 6-man tags, here are the most popular WWE matches on YouTube as narrated by myself, Jack from WhatCulture.com. Strap yourselves in. Number 10, John Cena and Undertaker vs DX vs Jericho. The November 16th, 2009 edition of Raw is most remembered for Kofi Kingston's astonishing leg drop on Randy Orton, but it also featured a mammoth Madison Square Garden main event featuring 6 bona fide legends. The story of the match sees unified tag champs Jericho face off against WWE champion John Cena and World Heavyweight champion Undertaker. That explains their roles in the match, and DX are in there because they're really cool, I guess. Undertaker's entrance stretches on for 3 minutes, and it's the whole works. It's almost like a WrestleMania entrance. It includes the flaming torches and the druids and the chanting. It's ludicrously over the top for what is essentially a house show style main event, but it's also awesome as well. A particular highlight includes Shawn Michaels tagging in to face Taker, having lost to him at Mania 25 earlier the same year, and he immediately strips off his DX wristbands as if to go, come on, I'm serious now, I don't want this lime green bullshit all over me. You, Triple H. Cena eventually picks up the win with an attitude adjustment on Triple H, but Undertaker then drills his partner with the tombstone after the bell. The pair would of course then go on to clash at... we're still waiting on that one. Number 9, and my favourite of the list, it's the ECW Monster Mash Battle Royal. Let's go. The Monster Mash Battle Royal represents the ill-fated relaunch of ECW in a nutshell. The man formerly known as Viscera and Mabel is first to go, almost clotheslined over the top by Kane, and then Kane just sort of sloppily chucks him out anyway. It's beautiful. Kane and Henry then team up to remove the Great Khali before the world's strongest man belly-to-belly suplexes Kane to the outside, the only legitimately exciting part of the entire match. From bell to bell, this bout only lasts a mere 4 or 5 minutes, but I actually had to fact-check that because I watched it and it felt like a hell of a lot longer. The only thing that could have really saved it for me would be the inclusion of the Yeti. Number 8, The Undertaker, John Cena and D-Generation X versus CM Punk and all 3 members of Legacy. There's an old superstition in wrestling that the man who loses the go-home match on TV will go on to win at the subsequent pay-per-view, but this main event from October 2009 puts that theory firmly to bed. A blockbuster SmackDown main event saw a Justice League of babyfaces from Undertaker, who I guess is Batman, John Cena, who's Superman, Triple H, who's, I can't. My DC knowledge is absolutely appalling. One of the big ones put one of the big DC superheroes in there, and Shawn Michaels put one of the little DC superheroes in there. That works, yeah. Good. Thanks, editor. Cheers, mate. And the Justice League takes on Randy Orton's Legacy faction. CM Punk's in there too, but I'm not sure if he really warrants a mention given the fact that he spends most of the match running away from The Undertaker. The faces eventually stand tall. Orton eats the pinfall after a tombstone piledriver, and then just a few days later, at Hell in a Cell, the faces would stand tall again, kind of throwing away the theory that the man who loses on the go-home show will win at the pay-per-view, because the heels just lost again. DX beat Legacy in a Hell in a Cell tag team main event, and Undertaker beheaded CM Punk in the Hell in a Cell match. It was a very disappointing end to his World Heavyweight Championship reign. However, there was one flaunting of that old traditional superstition, because the Viper, having eaten the pinfall in the match on TV, would go on to defeat John Cena and become the next WWE champion. Number 7, John Cena versus Randy Orton versus Triple H versus The Big Show. Unlike many matches on this list, the ECW Monster Mash Battle Royal, the inclusion of this one is easily understandable. The stakes on this June 2009 edition of Raw were very high, the WWE Championship to be precise. Having torn his bicep, Batista was forced to vacate the belt, leading to this fatal four-way between Cena, Orton, Triple H and Show. The match features a very, very convincing false finish as the game nails Big Show with a pedigree, only for Cena to dash in and hit the attitude adjustment on the game. Then he throws Triple H out and covers the Giant, only for Big Show to astonishingly kick out. That's a really remarkable feat given the fact that the pedigree is the most devastating finisher ever, as WWE will never ever let us forget ever in the history of time ever. Eventually there's an ensuing medley of signature moves, and Randy Orton finishes off Big Show once and for all with the RKO, allowing him to grab the pinfall and walk out the new WWE champion. Lovely stuff. I'm noticing a theme here that WWE, whenever they're in a tight spot and they need to insert a new emergency champion, around the turn of the last decade, they really did love to put Randy Orton in that spot, didn't they? Strange one. Don't be surprised to see the Viper crop up at WrestleMania 55, hobble down to the ring on his Zimmer frame, and cash in on whoever's the champion at the time. I'm guessing it'll be like the love child of Seth Rollins and Sasha Banks or something like that. Some amazing wrestler. Number 6, Kane and Undertaker, the Brothers of Destruction versus Mr. Kennedy and MVP. The Brothers of Destruction are like an eclipse, basically. Everyone says, oh, it's the eclipse, you'll never see it again. But then a few years later, you'll see another one and you'll hear about it, and it looks pretty much the same. Yes, I'm very ignorant. Anyway, my point is that the Brothers of Destruction, Undertaker and Kane, reunite every so often to put a hurt in on whoever might stand in their way. The unfortunate souls on this November 2006 edition of SmackDown were the up-and-coming MVP and Mr. Kennedy. That was the creepiest thing I've ever done. The sheer burial of new talent in this match is astonishing in its blatancy. At one stage, JBL actually says on commentary, Kennedy had a future in this business until tonight. Wow, you can hear the shovel being scraped on top of that freshly dug mound of dirt, can't you? Undertaker and Kane let the heels get very little offense in, and the pair are almost treated like comedy jobbers at certain stages of the match. They attempt to flee, for example, only for Teddy Long to restart the match with no countouts, player, holla holla. Kennedy then gives Taker a low blow, only for Teddy to come out again and rule out DQs, holla holla. Player, holler if you hear me, that's not him. No prizes for guessing which team wins at the end. Number 5, John Cena, Batista and Rey Mysterio versus Randy Orton and Jericho. Tribute to the Troop specials are always unique, which makes this a very nice inclusion on the list. It's not all multi-man SmackDown main events after all. We've also got a multi-man main event from Camp Victory, Iraq in 2008. Of course, the match itself is pretty standard house show fare. If you've ever been to a WWE house show, you'll know that the wrestlers are sort of a lot looser and have a lot more fun, and you can tell that it's not as serious and tightly scripted as it is on television. We also know that we're not going to get any deep storyline progression on a Tribute to the Troop show. It's very much non-canon, if that term really applies to the world of wrestling. Some of the highlights include Rey Mysterio stage diving into the crowd during his entrance like a mini rock star frontman, Big Show losing patience with all his partners and storming out, and various hilarious miscommunications between the heels. It's almost like it's John Cena, Batista and Rey Mysterio versus the Chuckle Brothers. And if you get that Chuckle Brothers reference, I hope you're not a fan of them, because I've got a younger brother and they ruined my childhood. I hate those bastards. Those bastards! I hate you, Barry and Paul. I hate you. Christ, I'm around there. Number 4, Rey Mysterio again versus John Cena again. Now, whenever somebody mentions Rey Mysterio v John Cena, as they often do, barely a day goes by when I'm not accosted by somebody on the street asking about Rey Mysterio versus John Cena. The first match that springs to mind is often their 2011 clash on Monday Night Raw. You know the one where Rey had just won a grueling tournament for the WWE Championship, and then Cena just came out of nowhere and was like, oh, I've got a match against you now. Good luck, buddy. And then he beat him, and everyone was like, what the hell, Cena? What the fuck, you dickhead? Why would you do that to Rey Mysterio? He just won the belt. Why would you challenge him in the same night? What an arsehole. What a heel. That still pisses me off to this day. Ludicrously unfair pro-Cena booking aside, the 4th most viewed match on WWE's YouTube channel is actually a different Rey versus Big Match John clash. This 2003 edition of SmackDown saw Mysterio square off against a young tweener John Cena. John Tweener. John Tweet. Keep that in. John Tweener. I'm a genius. John picks up the win with the help of a mid-air low blow on a flying Rey before being jumped by an assortment of Paul Heyman-led heels, including Brock Lesnar, Big Show, A-Train, and Nathan Jones. G'day. He was shit. Number 3, the 20-man World Heavyweight Championship Battle Royal. Vacant titles often lead to very exciting matches on otherwise bog-standard editions of Raw or SmackDown. This 2007 Battle Royal for the World Heavyweight Championship sees an assortment of potential winners including Eugene, Funaki, Jimmy Wang Yang, and the Great Khali. There are also a few legitimate contenders scattered around as well, men that you'd realistically expect to win the match, like Batista, Kane, maybe even Mark Henry, and naturally one of those guys took the win and the title. No, just joking, the actual winner was the Great Khali. The Great Khali won the fucking match, what's going on? The Punjabi Giant eliminates both Kane and Batista simultaneously to win the World Heavyweight Goddamn Championship, and will go on to enjoy a long and very critically acclaimed reign. Don't fact check that last part, just trust me. Number 2, John Cena and Randy Orton versus the entire Raw roster. Let's get ourselves strapped in for this one, boys and girls. John Cena and Randy Orton are often criticised for their sustained, arguably monotonous periods of success in WWE, especially the former John Cena. What better way to right those wrongs than to pit the pair against every single member of the Raw roster in 2008? The pair of superheroes set about systematically eliminating every opponent before them, FU after FU, RKO after sweet RKO. The masses, that's the wrestlers, not the fans, but we were annoyed as well, but the masses, frustrated at being beaten by 2 actual supermen, decided to cheat and get themselves all disqualified. Yes, John Cena and Randy Orton beat the entire Raw roster. After the bell, everything devolves into a messy brawl, during which Cena proceeds to decimate several opponents with just massive chair shots to the head. It's actually quite uncomfortable to watch in this day and age. Then JBL and Umaga have a little brawl between themselves, even though they're on the same team, which is at least something different. It's not an FU or an RKO. Finally, with Cena and Orton weary in the middle of the ring, guess what happens? It's almost as if Reddit wrote this match. Triple H made his way out to the ring and just nailed either man with the pedigree. That's how it ended. It's like a sarcastic internet message board wrote that match. Cena and Orton decimate everyone, win the match, and then Triple H comes out and buries them both. It's utter genius. And number one, the most viewed video on WWE's official YouTube channel. It's a 41-man battle royal for a title shot of the winner's choosing. Obviously, how did you not guess that? Duh. Yes, this match featured a whole host of SmackDown superstars, including Randy Orton, Wade Barrett, Jack Swagger, and Alberto Del Rio. In fact, those four men were the final four in the match. Then Orton swiftly eliminated all three and seemingly won, only for the dastardly Miz to slide in from his hiding place at ringside. They actually had a really nice back and forth battle. You couldn't genuinely tell who was going to win, but then eventually Randy eliminated Miz via an RKO on the apron, the hardest part of a wrestling ring, in case you didn't know that. And then both men flopped to the outside, but Miz clearly landed first. It was a very nice finishing sequence. I've been ripping on a lot of matches on this list, but this one was actually quite decent. Randy then got on the microphone and announced that he'd face Mark Henry for the World Heavyweight Championship, and that match would take place later in the same night. And that match ended in a DQ. That led to Big Show versus Mark Henry at the next pay-per-view. Clearly 2011 was an exciting time in the aftermath of the summer of Punk. Well, on that slightly sour note, that's all the time we've got. Those were the top 10 most viewed matches on WWE's YouTube channel. I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. I've been Jack from WhatCulture.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Jack_the Jobber, and I will see you soon.